Om Shanti. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Welcome to another Yoga Small Talk, and we continue with 7 minutes Bhagavad Gita a day. We are still reading from chapter 2. We were covering verses 41 through 43, and we'll do a little bit of a recap and continue with the next verses, which explain further the same principle. So Lord Krishna is telling Arjuna, and of course to Arjuna, to us, "O Arjuna, do your duty, follow Dharma, live a righteous life, and don't worry so much about what's in it for me." And then the context is that there is the karma kandas, the people who say, "Why are you bothering about all those principles of morality? All these ideas of Dharma, forget it, you don't need it. We have a ritual for everything. You need to be forgiven, pardoned for some bad thing you've done. We have a ritual. You want a blessing to have a progeny, or to have this or that property, or this or that job. We have a ritual." Sounds familiar? We still see it today in many aspects. Now some go on the positive side and say, "Yes, we'll give you this and that, and you will get whatever you want." And some say, "If you won't follow us, you'll go to the bad place. No, you have a very bad afterlife." So it's the same principle. And Lord Krishna criticizes this very, very, very strongly. And he's saying this, and you can see the language, flowery speech. He's not giving it as something positive. It is like, it's like big talk and for no reason. And then he says, "by the unwise." And to just explain to us, in case we miss the point, that this is not the right way. He's saying those people are full of desires, and their only goal is heaven and the next birth. And yes, they were people, and maybe they still are, who can get us to heaven, who can get us a good next birth, and who can give us particular blessings to achieve this or that selfish goal. But where does it put us? Again and again and again in the same place, with more desires, with more dependency on them, by the way, and with a society that is falling apart because there is no guiding moral principle. It's just lacking, and people are not interested in what is the right thing for them to do in order for society in general to flourish. They are just interested in how I make my lot bigger and better. So Lord Krishna gives here a very, very strong criticism against it, and he says the antidote to this thing, which is tearing societies apart and which is causing the individual to suffer again and again and again, the wheel of samsara, the wheel of birth and death, is karma yoga. Doing action without worrying about I and mine, is for the benefit of all. And later on, offering it to God as we evolve in the practice of karma yoga. 44. For those who are attached to pleasure and power, whose minds are drawn away by such teaching, that determinate reason is not formed, which is steadily bent on meditation and samadhi. And Swami Shivananda tells us, those who cling to pleasure and power cannot have steadiness of the mind. So the more we go in the direction of actions that will bring me that or will bring me this, the more we see spirituality as some sort of bank or wishing star or whatever it is that, a means to get us our materialistic end. The more we get far away from the true goal of spirituality, and we become less and less able to meditate and less able to reach any high spiritual realization. They are ever busy in planning projects for the acquisition of wealth and power. Their minds are ever restless. They have no poised understanding. So not only we are not able to progress spiritually, the mind is always restless, and this is very painful. And Lord Krishna is also very compassionate. He's trying to take us out of it through the teachings of Karma Yoga. 45. The Vedas deal with the three attributes of nature. Be thou above these three attributes, O Arjuna. Free yourself from the pairs of opposites and ever remain in the quality of sattva goodness, freed from the thought of acquisition and preservation, and be established in the self. So this is a reference to the science of the three gunas: sattva purity, rajas activity, and tamas inertia, which we will discuss this, of course, at length more. And there is also a series of talk dedicated particularly to this, which is called the science of happiness, which you are most welcome to listen to, that explains it more in depth. It's very, very precious knowledge, but for our discussion, it's enough to understand that Lord Krishna brings it in the context of, okay, those people who are treating the spiritual knowledge as means to ends, to materialistic ends, are keeping you within the control of the three elements, which means within samsara, within the illusory existence and the cycle of birth and death. And you, Arjuna, should be above that. First establish yourself in sattva, which purity, and then you will be able to transcend. So this is why it is mentioned here, to show us that as long as we follow that, as long as we go with spirituality for materialistic ends only, without morality, without the contemplation and meditation on God, we are trapped in this reality. And as we mentioned, it's also very, very devastating for society in large. And how do we continue this thought? How do we look more deeply into practices that will benefit us and society? We will see in the next talks. Om Shanti.